Good morning, Ben.
Morning.
Thanks again for sending some slides through. This looks really interesting this month. So
an interesting time of year. So 3 stories this morning. The first concerns worms and management of away wintered hogs, sometimes in lamb, sometimes not. More important if they are in lamb, probably. Here's the next slide. Starts at the beginning of December, where a bunch of hogs, 150 in lamb gimmer hogs, at least they had a chance of being in lamb, were sent away onto clean grazing, which is a common thing up here, common thing everywhere really. Send them away to clean grazing. Now, what they did was they gave them albendazole on the day that they moved. 25th of January, they started looking poor. So on the assumption they had fluke, they were given triclabendazole. It didn't really do any good. So on the 30th of January, one died and was sent in for post-mortem. Focus in on the abomasum, and that abomasum is thickened and not very happy, and it was full of worms. Tila dorsagia circumcincta. The next slide tells you that the worm egg count was 13,000 trichostrongal eggs per gram. Now, we couldn't speciate because it's difficult, but it's a fair assumption with an abomasum looking like that they were trichostrongal egg, that they were Tila dorsagia circumcincta eggs, I should say. And to add insult to injury, the liver selenium showed a deficiency of selenium. First thing to say is we cannot confirm that you've got white drench resistance here in the Tila dorsagia circumcincta that killed the lamb. They were dosed and moved. Now, really, what they should have done, what they should have happened was they should have dosed them with a likely effective wormer, probably Zolvix, and then as a break drench in the back end, and then put them on some dirty pasture for a few days for them to pick up some susceptible worms so that only the resistant worms didn't survive, but also, just as important, to top up their immunity to enable them to develop immunity with the trickle of worms rather than being completely worm free. The selenium deficiency didn't help either, because that will have made the immunity worse again, because selenium is required for immunity. And then the assumption in the end of January, when they started to look poor, that they had fluke turned out also to be wrong, because A, there wasn't any fluke, so they wasted the money, and B, the triclabendazole will not kill any worms. My suggestion would have been to get rid of most of the potentially resistant worms in those hogs. They should have really had Zolvix as a break dose in the back end, I'd say. Would you agree, Matt?
Yeah, it's perfect time to do that break dose back end. And it counts as a quarantine movement dose as well. So as long as you follow the protocol, as you said, leave them where they are for 2 or 3 days, so that you're not just taking any potential survivors with you.
Absolutely. And give those hogs, clean them out, give them a chance to grow, because they're working extremely hard, these hogs. They've still got to grow themselves. They're in lamb. They're through the winter, when times are hard anyway. It's a hard job they've got. So they need all their ducks in a row. They probably should have been blood sampled for trace elements before they went, and supplemented appropriately, preferably with injection or bolus, so that they had enough selenium to get them through the winter, through that period when they're away. And lastly, if fluke is suspected, the thing to do is to blood sample them, not just treat them